El camino se les torne oscuro y resbaladizo, que el ángel del Señor les haga sufrir.
seguro.
Hey, the big man's back. www.thekidfrombrooklyn.com. You ever seen them signs on the highway billboards years ago? I'd walk a mile for a camel, or they used to have cigarette commercials. I used to say I'd walk a mile for a camel. Well, let me tell all you young people out there, the big man, miles for a Quaalude, let me tell you. That was the drug back there in the late 70s and 80s. Quaaludes, the good old Roarer 714, and they changed it to lemon, I tell you. And we had a couple of them fucking lemons now. That was the best fucking drug ever made. It was so fucking good, the government took them off the fucking market. So they would put the fucking drug dealers out of pocket. Not narcotic, not addictive. Bring back the fucking Quaaludes. You can take all the fucking cocaine, marijuana, and all them fucking designer drugs they make today and stick them up your fucking ass. There's nothing like a fucking Quaalude. I fucking best having sex on a Quaalude. You thought you died what the heaven, let me tell you. And when you had an orgasm, you thought you were on a fucking moon. Bring back fucking Quaaludes. Anyway, think about it. Big man, the voice of the people. Roarer 714. And the big man's always, happy to see you.
The steaming hot tin of bacteria-flourishing diarrhea pie rested enticingly on the windowsill of Professor Peepee's third-rate slum house. The wind blew far on that cool morning, bringing about a delightful stench of fecal crusts similar to that of wafting over an open sewer after Cinco de Mayo. Professor PP was completely naked in the bathroom attempting to squeeze out a constipating watermelon-sized turd conglomerate that built up within the boundary of his splinter-infected colon. Miles from the heart of town, PP lived a proud inhabitant of one of Gluteal Valley's many thriving suburbia. At the ripe age of old as fuck, and with a slender, lengthy stature, Professor PP existed with the flabby excess skin of a decomposing lunch lady. His top sagged over his relatively thin body, like a dehydrated mushroom cap, being barely supported under a feeble stem. Creeks of clearly visible dark blue veins sprawled all throughout the ancient man's saggy body, from head to toe. Vacuuming pounds of curdled cottage cheese into his intestines, which themselves are lined with unhealthy growths of hairy boils and tumors, was one of his favorite hobbies. He enjoyed overeating intentionally to trigger incapacitating constipation contractions in the future. Days earlier, PP was raking his lawn covered with slaughtered dead puppies buried in an inch of black ashes from the recent burning of easy-bake Mexicans, when he came up with a wonderful idea. "I could shove this wooden handle into my anal cavity," cried the professor in pure excitement. With glee, he began to gnaw off the end of the rake in order to sharpen it into a spear. The pointier the spear became, the stronger his grin became. When the wooden handle was sharpened to the point of an X-Acto knife, he was ready to begin. Professor PP pulled his pants down, and out fell leftover dingleberries from within his crusted mud hole. The crazed professor shoved the crafted wooden spear that was once a rake handle far into the reaches of his rectum. Amidst the lighting jolt of anus wood friction, bloody shit sprayed out of his ass in liters, soaking into the water table below. His neighbors stared in an entranced horror while Professor PP shoved the wooden instrument even further into his ass, stabbing and tearing through his intestines with a linear path that shish kebabbed his otherwise curved intestinal trail. Suffocating with no breathing room as he pushed the handle up his throat to peek from his rectal canal, the wooden skewer speared clearly through his entire body. His intestinal lining was shredded by the X-Acto spear that also shaped the hairy boils and malignant tumors that grew on it, causing his growths to twitch and secrete deathly toxins. With one hard tug, the handle that was jammed through out like bread and butter, leaving a trail of minute splinters scraping through his insides. Upon the entirety of the spear, smears of dirty brown were all around him, countless shards of snapped-off wood jammed his neck. "I love splinters," Professor PP exclaimed with tears of joy. He then took the wooden spear that he jammed through himself and staked it on his lawn to leave a marker indicating to his neighbors that he is indeed one crazy bastard. Days of blood-curdling constipation later, the old man struggled in a fight for his life on the shitter with millions of slivers that infested his body. "Hoom-goom-goom-goom-goo," he screamed at the top of his lungs while powerfully stretching his asshole. Finally, in one bloody spew of yellow pus gooped together with running shit slop, his black rotted colon opened up to the size of an intergalactic wormhole. Gaping with a violent black hole contraction, out cannonballed the fecal conglomerate created from pounds of moldy cottage cheese sprinkled graciously among, of course, a few loose anal splinters. The majority of rake handle slivers remained within his ass, drooping with the consistent flowing of yellow infection pus from each of the wounds. Disease-causing bacteria that invaded his colon splinter sores had been feeding on PP's interior chamber since his rake insertion, causing the multitude to leak rectal juices, even potent shit. Trillions of the harmful microbes sweltered in their infestation while reproducing exponentially, inflating Professor Peepee's colon like a helium balloon wrapped in a tortilla shell. On a bowel conquest, the Viking bacteria cells progressively ransacked all possible nourishment from Peepee's digestive tract. Each of his digestive organs quickly became a deserted wasteland, microscopic tumbleweeds blowing in his bodily wind as shitty sand dunes collected in his sliced intestinal pockets. His massive brown cottage cheese shit baby of was splattered all over the toilet bowl, growing mushrooms and mold before he even raised his ass cheeks. Blood and pus diseased the hollow from his colon and coiled up on top of this colored joint of the water with the smooth twisting of a chocolate ice cream machine. Now that the shit war of colonitis was concluded, Peepee raised from the shitter without wiping or flushing and tiptoed to a medicine cabinet above his sink. His anal disease juices seeped down his legs, reflecting in the mirror attached to the cabinet his face. Momentarily, he glared at his beautifully Caucasian skin in adoration and became fascinated yet again, like all other mornings, with the massive curly white hair fluffed atop his skull. Wrinkles were distinctly the dominant feature of his dehydrated, elderly face, fleeing from youth at light speed, yet gradually more accepting of death. After the personal admiration, he reached for the small yellow knob on the medicine cabinet. For just a few seconds after he opened the cabinet, he glanced at all sorts of medicinal remedies. From Ebola vaccines to anal splinter enemas, the professor wanted in search of a specific morning ailment. "Where is it? Where is it?" he inquired, while sporting a grimly impatient stare. With each breath, trails of silver sludge dysentery increased its dribbling pace down his legs from his anus, flooding through each leg hair that the rectum mist made contact with. His half-dead gray hairs curled up to a completely dead brown. A puddle began forming at his feet, spreading out to produce a bathroom shit pond of ankle-high volume. "Ah, here it is." Peepee celebrated at the sight of the medicine he had been searching for that rested in a petite, liquid-containing glass jar. My heroin speedball. Leaning against the jar lay a dirty syphilis needle that he obtained from a drugged-out crack whore. He twisted the illicit substances open and then dabbed the tip of the dirty syringe into them. With an addict's glare of uncontestable readiness to shoot up, Peepee siphoned a chamber of the slushy street mixture into the needle. He looked down at his hairy old body and lifted his irregularly shaped scrotum, uncovering loads of mosquito bite injection marks upon the underside. Taking the needle with his left hand and choking his ballsack into a purple plum with the right, Peepee precisely aligned the siphon tip with his left testicle. "Raug!" he cried as he rammed the syringe through his scrotal skin and into his ball, all while pressing his weight